Hi, welcome to the Polyglot Engineer channel. My name is David. I want to do a quick video tonight, talk about boxing and unboxing in .NET. So I was talking to a friend of mine recently who was he was on a job interview, and one of the things that came up in the job interview, he was doing a technical interview, and they're asking him, what is boxing and unboxing in .NET? And so I think there's a little bit of confusion about what exactly boxing and unboxing is. Before we could talk about what that is, let's talk about types first in C Sharp. So there's actually three different types in C Sharp. You have value types, you have reference types, and then you have pointer types. And so pointers, I really don't have to deal with pointers that much in .NET unless you're dealing with a native library. But you definitely deal with value types and reference types. And so to understand what the difference between those two are, you have to understand how memory works on most computers. So most computers, you have the stack, and then you have the heap. And so generally, for instance, like when you're writing programs, let's say in C, for example, when you're doing an operation, you'll kind of load things up into the stack just temporarily. And then once it's done, it gets offloaded off the stack. And then you have reference types, and those in C, for example, are ones that you typically would use with like pointers and stuff like that. So in .NET, C Sharp, typically where you have value types are going to be your primitive types, let's say like an integer, float, boolean. These are all things that are value types. And then let's say you created your own type, for example, using a class, that would become a reference type. And so a good example of this in the actual .NET framework itself is the string type. The string type is actually a reference type. And if you think about it, a string, it can be 1 character long or it could be 10,000 characters long. And so because of that, when you're moving back and forth between essentially value types and reference types in .NET, let's say you want to take a value that right now is a value type and you want to convert that into something that is a reference type. Well, that is what's called boxing. So let's say I take an integer as an example, and then I want to make it a reference type. Now we're having to box that. And then let's say I have something that is a reference type, and I want to convert it into something that is a value type. That's unboxing. So let's take a quick look to see what this actually looks like. So in this example right here, you can see I have scaffolded out a very simple C Sharp application. And what I'm doing right here on this line is I've declared a int. So this is my value type, and I've set it to 42. And then I have an object right here. This is my reference type, and I'm assigning that value to this object type. And then down below here, now I'm taking that integer variable, and now I'm assigning it to value of 10,000. So if I actually come over here, save this and run this, we can see here for the value, it's reset the value here to 10,000, but up above here, where I've set this to object, it still retained that value of 42 because it's now been boxed into that object. So if I want to create another integer here, I'm going to create a new integer, and I'm going to call this, we'll call this num2. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set it to the value in the object. So I'm going to come over here and set it to object. And one of the things you'll see here is we have this little squiggly line. That's because it needs to be cast into an integer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cast that as an int. And you can see our little squiggly line goes away. Now that I've done that, this is now going to be a value type. This is now unboxed, right? So if I come over here, console output that, let's run that again. And now we can see, now we have taken that object value, which was 42, assigned it to this new integer, and now we have 42. So we've unboxed that variable. So I'm planning on doing a bunch more videos, talk about C# and .NET. I used to work as a .NET engineer for like 11 years. And there's still a lot of applications, a lot of companies that use .NET. It's been open sourced, and previously when I worked on it, it used to be like a Windows only thing, but now you can actually run .NET on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. And in this case, I'm actually running this on a Mac. So if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down, but please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel. And with that, I'll bid adieu. Have a nice evening.